Alright, guys. Our second match in the Mag1 Group B, a round of 8. That's right, we are finding who gets to the top 4 of this season of Mag1. It's Farseer Spec, The Conclusion. I don't really know the background of these players, so if you guys are familiar with them, let me know. Not sure where The Conclusion is from. First time commentating them. And they're playing up against, this is HorribleWill, guys. This Chinese name up here, apparently. Which I love as a name, that's awesome. And apparently HorribleWill never puts their Stormcallers symmetrical and almost always starts with Stormcallers is what I've been told. They're going to go for both in the middle, which means obviously some zigzagging crawlers could be good later on. And it is going to be a crawler arcade. What was this? Aerial spec? Okay, so aerial spec. And obviously a little bit more of an aggressive start. Slightly aggressive, I should say, for The Conclusion, but not very far forward. If I was playing against Storms with sledges, I would normally try to set up really forward, asymmetrical, and kind of mess the game up a little bit. But something I've noticed is that a lot of the high-level players say, hey, look, aggressive play has kind of been nerfed. It's not that good at the very top level. And I think one of the things they kind of lament, we saw some high-level players in chat talking about it just before, is basically the devs of the game feel that like when aggressive play is really good, it turns off a lot of newer players, right? Because it feels like what happens with aggressive play, right, is it's always absolutely counterable. But until you really know how to use all the tools, it overwhelms people and they feel like it's unstoppable. Like there's a lot of people who die to really basic aggression and aggro tactics in Mechabellum. So they kind of nerf them, nerf aggro a little bit. Things like multi-melter are really good. Oil is really good. Spells are also really good against the defensive player. So one thing is if someone's in like a compact position like this, you're spread around the whole front, you get ion beam or artillery. It always feels like a bit unfair for the defensive player at a low level. Like, oh, what? I'm defending, so I'm clumped up, and all my stuff gets wrecked by these spells. This is unfair. As long as the aggressive player spreads out. But, I don't know. I still think aggro play, it's really good, but I think probably at the top 10, top 20 players, it does fall off a little bit, which is why we see guys like Fairy being one of... Oh, sorry, not Fairy. Fairy's in the previous game. But Fairy in the previous game being one of the best players ever. Guys, is that a Raiden? Guys, are we looking at a round 2 Raiden? I mean, your aerial spec, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Stormcallers, 2 Arclights, chaff, guys, chaff clearers for cucks and tryhards, says HorribleWill. Goes for a round 2 Raiden. These 2 Arclights have got their work cut out for them. Now, the problem with aerial spec is you do not get a chaff clear unit that you can unlock for free, right? Wraith. I guess you could go Wraith. Wraith's really bad in long range games though. Whereas if you've got giant spec, obviously you can unlock the Vulcan for free and basically like just be like, these Arclights are just placeholders. I'll sell out of them and actually swap to a better chaff clear unit. Now, Conclusion, guys, chat said Conclusion is German. So we have here, is he German player? He's about peak efficiency and his panzers are going to march into the enemy. Oh, round 2 Farseer. Because he's expecting aerial spec abuse by HorribleWill. And he decides at the last second as well. Okay, and you can see these vertical crawlers. They're going to spread out a bit, so it's a bit harder for the Arclights to kill them. That's also going to clump the enemy chaff a bit, which is going to allow these sledges in the... But then they do spread again, so not that effective. But this Farseer can kill the Raiden. Raiden has 15 less range, and does have a lot more hit points, obviously, but the Farseer, if it locks onto it, which it might do, if these Fangs aggro it, though, I think these Fangs might get close enough. No, it aggroes onto the Raiden, but I think it dies, because that Stormcaller volley and the Raiden shot... Farseer would have been good against Wasps. Do you guys think he was predicting early Wasps? A round 2 Farseer, to me, is one of these moves that is like god tier at low level, and I haven't really seen it at high level. The Farseer is an interesting unit, guys, because I think Raiden actually is one of the best late game units in the game. When you get like range and EMP and fork and stuff like that, and you're like EMPing units from so far away, or chain and fork, a chain and EMP I think is the combo where it basically extends its EMP really far. Now, Farseer is a god unit until about round 6, maybe round 7. After that, it falls off hard. Now, both players have taken the rangefinder, the laser sight. I call it a rangefinder. I don't know why. And he is going to sell the Farseer. Okay, I don't mind. Yeah, he's going to swap into Mustangs. Mustangs, good against Raidens because they don't die to it well. There's a lot of Fangs on this board. So you've got 2 Fang squads. Mustangs hard counter Fangs. And they counter the potential Wasps that could come out. So Mustangs are always good against aerial spec because, hey, you know they're going to go heavily air. The only air unit that's good against Mustangs is an armored air unit, Armored Overlord or Armored Wraith, which is a very big investment. So usually Mustangs and then either getting Melters or Marksman or Phoenix, something that does good single target damage paired with the Mustangs, if they look like they might go into those armored units, can be a nice addition. Problem, those Storms are still doing good damage. They're still going to land on these Mustangs. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Now, obviously, no mobile beacon. If he does a zigzag, he can maybe aggro a second volley from these Stormcallers as well. But I just figured, hey, it's not worth it just yet. Don't need to spend 100 on that. Very expensive to go round 3 range Mustang. But the sledges should move in front. Problem, they're still a bit too close, I think, to these Mustangs. Mustangs tanking, tracking onto the Raiden. Raiden gets a good shot on the Arclight sledge. These Fangs on the right side will crumble, but you can see these Stangs. If you can at least kill one Raiden here, it's a big experience boost. I think a Raiden kill levels up a Mustang squad. Almost, not quite. It's like 50 experience left. Okay, gets a level on one Mustang squad. It's the range Mustangs. That's really important. When you go for Mustangs like this, you want to get levels as frequently as possible. They're a fast shooting unit that changes targets very quickly and has very little overkill. So every little bit of bonus damage you add to a Mustang, you have almost no damage loss. Whereas if you upgrade a Raiden with a damage item, it's already one-shotting most units. It gets no tangible benefit unless it's shooting something that is bigger than its like one-shot lethality already to begin with. And this is one of those core concepts you always want to think about in Mechabellum is how much overkill is going into a situation, right? All right, so guys, we've got some nice little options here. Tank production line, steel ball production line, efficient giant manufacturing, all fantastic things. But Conclusion says, you know what? I'm not going giants. I just need the money. Skips, takes the bonus 50 supplies. Meanwhile, it was efficient giant and it's going to go Vulcan. And we could have predicted this because you look at this board, guys, and you know they're going to go Vulcan because what else can you possibly do as HorribleWill here? So Conclusion should know this is coming. And the answer is nothing yet. It's going to commit to just aerial on these Mustangs. That's going to give them plus 30 range, right? Yeah, so 165 range here, 180 once you start paying for temporary range, which you'll do from round maybe 6 onwards. Maybe next round if we're in danger of lethal. Probably round 6, though. I think this game's going to be a bit more of a slow burn. But that Vulcan's a real problem. So what can you do to handle the Vulcan? Well, you can go like repair armor sledges or just armor sledges. But he's got Raidens that already deal with them. You can literally just get things to kill them before they kill you. You can go Melter Mustang is actually what I would do here as the Conclusion. And that just shows a habit that I have. And I think I can blame some of the people in chat who helped teach me this game. There's kind of like a semi-high level player who's not a top level player syndrome called Melter solves everything. Where we get stuck in the mindset of just build Melter when you're not sure what to do the longer the game goes. If you get range Melters with whatever else you're doing, they're usually pretty good in a wide variety of situations. It's not the most critical thinking approach to the game. If he can get this paralyze, he wins. But he needs the paralyze. Is that enough though? Still a few Fangs up front, absorbing some Storm missiles. He needs to get rid of the Storms first. That next volley is going to hurt. Oh, the Raiden's almost dead, though. Oh, he gets it. Nicely done. And remember, they're like 185 meter range, these Mustangs with a range item. That's sick. Thank you for the subs, those who are watching live. Maestro, 2 gifted subs, dude. Thank you. Oh, shit. Is Sacco in the chat? Guys, we have top tier player. Are you still in this season, Sacco? I feel like I might have cast Sacco in the round of 16, but it was so long ago I forgot. And yes, Winbig did not send me replays from the first round of 8 group. So if you're in that group, Sacco, I did not see those games. Let me know if there are any bangers. I would love to cast those. Good to have some Mechabellum high-level players in the chat right now. Let me know if you guys disagree with any of my analysis, as it is a constant work in progress. Ooh, we're gonna go Fort Mustang, old school, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my initial peaks. Oh, you didn't make it out of groups. I did cast those games like a month ago, I think. Bad luck, Sacco. Hope you smash it next season. I think, did you get hounded? It would have been back when hounds were still a bit OP, I think. I cast your games, but I cast them after the patch was expired. So I think the replays went a bit bonkers after 4 or 5 rounds in. Yeah, I was trying to cast your games and to learn from you and the other guys. And I think I just watched all of your replays and no one else's from that. And I was like, watching, and I was like, oh, we'll see how this plays out. And then I'm like, uh-oh, I think the replays was just diverting too much. So it was kind of hard for me to learn from. Okay, so we've got range Vulcans coming in. Fortresses are going to tank really well. Fortress Mustang, an amazing combo. It's perfect if you get assault fortresses, because then they can tank more and move in faster and have shorter range, which is actually good, because you want to make sure the Mustangs are quite far behind. With aerial spec, I think it's fine. Guys, why are these Typhoons in the back? Is that a mistake, or did he expect a Wasp swap here? Typhoons in the middle seems like he forgot to place those. Did HorribleWill run out of time? Oh my god, he might have run out of time here. These fortresses are going down. That one is anyway. Mustangs track onto these Raidens from far away. The Raidens do not have any upgrades to the Vulcans. Man, so many Vulcans with range. This level 3 Mustang, can it finish it? I think it can. That fortress closing in now. It's just going to come in as delayed chaff clear, says chat. It's not a mistake. It just, I get, he's kind of like, hey, if wasps come in, it's delayed chaff clear. If wasps come in, I don't want to have it in the wrong side. So if it's in the middle, it kind of covers both sides. It just seems a bit weird having a Typhoon back there in the middle, but I guess it's just a just-in-case bit of chaff clear coming in from mine. When you've got Vulcans on the board like this, it seems like a pretty expensive use for 300 supplies, but we'll see how it goes. Very close round, guys. This is, like I said, I told you guys this was going to be a real close burn. I didn't check if either player paid for temporary range. I don't think either should have just yet. I think you really want to save money in this sort of game, where you've still got plenty of hit points, as obviously as HorribleWill. Now, guys, Incendiary, Nuke, Elite Tarantula, and Barrier. Barrier, really easy for either player to pick. Just throw it on a unit. Bam, bonus hit points. Problem, Fortresses, obviously, you're probably going to want to potentially click Barrier, and they won't double up. So, better pick that for HorribleWill. Easy pick. And I think, do we go Incendiary? Incendiary could be really good for clearing some of this chaff. You don't have great chaff clear. You're so Mustang reliant on your chaff clear, and Mustangs are decent chaff clear. They're not amazing chaff clear. So Incendiary does make a lot of sense as the Abyss comes out, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, he does click Barrier. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen. Barrier is so good against this whole board. It blocks Raidens, it blocks Storms, it blocks Vulcans. You know what it doesn't block? A big dickhead with a laser that can literally like burn every life form off a planet in one shot. This big dickhead over, I mean, he's gonna, I have a feeling his first shot is just going to obliterate both barriers. That being said, the Mustangs could kill it pretty quickly. It's a level 4 aerial Mustang, and you've got +1 attack, +1 armor. Only +1 armor for HorribleWill. Conclusion is going to pay for movement speed this turn. Maybe that means he dodges some of the laser because his units are moving so fast. I don't know how this is going to go, guys. This is going to be fascinating. That Barrier will tank 60,000 on the ground. We do have a little mobile beacon to distract some storms, or at least attempt to, as well as potentially pull these units into the middle. But watch for this first Abyss laser. Incendiary gets mostly blocked. Only gets an edge of fire there, which is unfortunate for Conclusion. I think HorribleWill's going to cause some damage. But those crawlers distract. Next shot doesn't land that big either. Dude, the crawlers did a good job. Only clip the edges of the shields with those lasers, and it goes down before it gets another laser off. Oh my god, the Destroyer of Worlds, like many large, slow-attacking, big units in Mechabellum, it is either the Destroyer of Worlds or it is the biggest waste of money you have ever seen. Holy crap. Can't feel good about that first round with the Abyss. Gonna get wrecked this round by the looks of it. I don't think it's too bad. Like, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. You've got plenty of hit points to spare. But you are hoping that maybe getting range, keeping it back a little bit further, that sort of stuff could be really nice on the following rounds. There is temporary range, temporary movement speed, of course, got bought. And no temporary range for HorribleWill. So HorribleWill did build some barriers, which he lost 2 barriers. I think 1 barrier got lost for Conclusion. But Conclusion invested more in temp range, temp speed, which costs a lot of money. Now, Ion Blast is just a god tier spell. I think there's good targets for it, like Ion Blast here on this Vulcan, and going through the Overlord onto the other Vulcan, I think is a great pick for Conclusion. Obviously, Ion Beam on the forts, and then hopefully catching some Mustangs as well could be nice. I find it's hard to land correctly on the Mustang Fortress, but I think both sides will probably take Ion Beam. Wasp Swarm's relatively useless. You could go Wasp Swarm top left, but there's Fangs nearby, so what's it going to do? Looks like we've sold out of a Raiden. The Raidens have been sold out of entirely, realizing they're no good against the Fortresses, against the Mustangs. So HorribleWill's like, that's cool. I got range. I got my efficient maintenance, which of course reduces the amount of money you lose on maintenance for these Titan units. They normally lose you 200 supplies a round. Now, each one only loses you 50 per round, but each consequent upgrade is more expensive. Temp range going down for the first time in this match for HorribleWill. Meanwhile, no temp range just yet. No borrow. Are we going to borrow? I think this game's still close enough. You probably don't want to borrow just yet because you can spend unlimited money on Fortress Mustang in this game. Now, do you sell these sledgehammers at some point, guys? They're kind of decent chaff clear, which is why these sledgehammers and arc lights are still here as like delayed chaff clear. I think you keep them in there. We are seeing more crawlers to keep distracting the abysses. The ion beam goes down. HorribleWill skips the ion beam and instead just drops a shield on that left side. This Vulcan on the right side is going to dick around for a while. He's trying to hold that back so it does stay back and doesn't run in and get itself killed. Okay, that big ion beam doesn't land on the abyss, but it's going to crack the barrier, do big damage to that Vulcan, and it's going to do big damage to the second abyss as well. Abysses are chunky, so it takes a massive amount of damage, 3,500 damage per tick, and oh, it does actually kill an abyss. I did not realize an abyss would die to an ion beam. That's really big. 180 meter range on these Mustangs, guys. 200 for these Mustangs down here when they're shooting air units. The ones with the range item, look at that. Once they track on to the abyss, 200 meter range. These guys are basically Stormcallers when they're shooting air units, and they are actually killing the abyss really effectively. This is, unironically, guys, where you go wreckage recycling. Unironic, wreckage recycling is what you need to go right now. It's the best way to counter Mustangs with abyss. I am trolling, guys. It's a fun ability. Wreckage recycling means the abyss, as it kills units, basically life steals them. I don't think the abyss are landing good enough hits for that to be super effective, but against like gradual damage that slowly guns them down like the Mustangs, there is an argument for it. I just don't know if it's a good argument. Conclusion is going to take the absorption module. Meanwhile, I think it was the photon item here for HorribleWill. Now yeah, this is going to be interesting. I mean, do you get more fortresses across the left and try to collapse on that tower a little bit quicker? It feels like there's just going to be more abyss coming through this game. Incendiary. Whoa, we're going to go Incendiary. Okay, trying to burn down the Mustangs. Now, Incendiary is a god tier ability. This is actually low-key broken below about 1800 MMR, guys. I tell you, this ability, once players find this button, it is such a big game. Whenever you get, especially if you're in a section of the ladder where everyone spams Mustangs and like lots of chaff, if you hit the point where people learn, like no one at low level builds chaff, then everyone learns how to spam chaff and Mustangs and they build too much of it. And they don't know how to counter Incendiary by like putting crawlers on the edges and distracting the fire and oiling their side. And it's kind of crazy. Fortress Punch comes in. Abyss are really good, guys. It looks like this game's turning against HorribleWill. I really still feel like it could go his way. Now, there is an argument behind vertical sweep in this sort of game because the Mustangs and stuff are behind, and even the fortresses are laid behind, but Punch is now coming out, guys, which means as these forts take damage, they will detach their fists. One at, I think it's 60% hit points. Okay, one at 55, 85 and 55% hit points. So when they get below a certain hit points, their fists will punch off and do massive AoE damage. Here, first fist is about to come off that left side. It's going to land on this Vulcan, I think. No, chaff, absorbing most of the early fists. The fists are clearing chaff, which is not bad. One finally lands on a Vulcan. Another one lands on the right side. Second one detaches, blows him up as well. A few more blowing up the chaff. That Vulcan in the middle, Fortress, sorry, does have energy absorb. The Mustangs in the back take out the right side Abyss. The Abyss is still struggling to get through these big boys. That Fortress, tanking like a mother trucker, finally goes down. There's still one level 2 Vulcan with range on that right side. He's also got the barrier as well. Temp range there. Temp range and movement speed and mass recruitment got used for Conclusion. Remember what I said though, Conclusion has been dumping more money into these rounds with earlier going enhanced range movement speed around earlier. And because he's more aggressive, he has to dump that extra 50 supplies every round. That is something which HorribleWill does not need to do. And there's, you know, and that ends up stacking up. That being said, there are more barriers being put down because I believe he's been putting like a shield over here sometimes, whereas you've got built-in barriers with these fortresses, and this barrier back here got used like 8 rounds ago and has just never been disappeared, never got killed. So that's actually not too crazy. Now you're gonna see, guys, sandworms get taken for both sides as the next units. Sorry for closing out of that before we could see it. So these worms are gonna just be a distraction. Worms, good for distracting the Abyss, decent tanky units, pretty good against Vulcans classically, since they are the best hit points per unit cost you can get in Mechabellum. Warfare? out of the Giants. Obviously, War Factory gives you more, but, you know, they're like, what, 15, 20% tankier than a Fortress, something like that as well. So it's about 10, 11% tankier than a Fortress, which is pretty damn tanky. And because they'll be dipping underground and stuff, that can be effective. There's no EMP on the board, so we're going to click the almost free upgrade. Mechanical Division, super cheap upgrade, only costs 100 supplies, which means it's going to spawn 4 baby worms when it dies. Problem, will they spawn out and die to the same Abyss Beam that's already killed the worm? I don't know. I think there's a tiny delay on that. One worm goes in the back door, trying to distract the army, distract the Abyss. The Abyss will hit it almost immediately, though. So I do have a feeling it's going to die pretty quickly, but he will set fire to his own chaff there. Some of the crawlers will run in and die. Oil on the left. Mustangs will never run into that because they've got range and everything. Both sides paying for range. Borrow money for both sides. Now, the swarm missiles come out. The deadly swarm missiles. Guys, we are about to see a bloody tornado of swarms. Some wasps on the front line to try to distract these Abyss, to try to keep those barriers alive a bit longer. Some of the barriers are already getting popped. There is so much fire. Some of the Mustangs are dying, but most of them are staying far enough back. That aerial spec range boost really helping them. Struggling to clear the crawlers on the ground, though. And I think those Abyss... Oh, my God! The missiles come out round 2. The missiles come out. The next Incendiaries went even deeper and took care of those Mustangs as well. And it seems like the Abyss swarm missile range and the Incendiary volcanoes, I was going to call them, the volcanoes... That's basically what they are once you click that upgrade. That's like a... Is that ever been a term? People who are expert long-term Mechabellum players? But I thought he was going to wreck. Still loses. The Melter with range on the right side comes in clutch. This Melter saves the day. Melter Vulcan is a classic combo, but that Paralyze is going to come in at a bad time. Watch out for this beam. Ooh, I think the Melter loses this fight. Yeah, if it was a suck Melter, if it had lifesteal, maybe. But it is going to die to the missiles. Does get an Abyss kill, though. The other Abyss barely alive on like 2 hit points. And this game is still incredibly close. You got to go Ion. There's no... I mean, actually, EMP... Is it? No, because he can... Okay, so here's the thing. Is he can dodge Ion with his Abyss. He cannot dodge... With Mobile Beacon, he cannot dodge EMP. So we're going to go EMP on the right side to remove the abilities from one Abyss and try and, most importantly, break some of his chaff clear. Problem is... Oh, dude, he put his Melter on the front. Is that crazy, putting the Melter that far forward, guys, on the corner? Isn't that exposed? Dude, I feel like I'd be so tempted to put my own Melters here, but that's why he's put crawlers forward as well. That's also going to force this Incendiary to go on his own units. Oh, he's also going Burrow, which means you can actually sometimes pass through the fire and survive. I don't really know if that's super worth it here. It will also mean they survive a little bit longer against the Vulcan's main attack. We'll see how that goes. Ion for HorribleWill is going to spread across these fortresses. That level 3 fortress is not going to die to this. The level 1 fort probably does, assuming it stays in position. And more importantly, it's gunning for these Mustangs. These 2 Mustang packs are actually what that Ion Beam's looking for. More Melters coming in right now. Not bothering with EMP. EMP only hits ground, not air. These Abyss are going level 2. Both sides are, of course, borrowing off the tower, paying for range, paying for all the temporary upgrades that only last a turn. The worm in the corner will die almost instantly. Let's see how this EMP goes on the right side. A barrier going down there, shields all over the place for both sides, just to buy valuable seconds. EMP does take down the Abyss on the right side, weakens the barriers, and of course, unfortunately, the Vulcans are both protected from that EMP. I think the Ion Beam was the better pick. I think Conclusion messed up by not taking the Ion Beam. I think an Ion Beam through the middle would have done crushing damage to these Abyss, killed a Vulcan or 2, maybe. I could be totally wrong, though. You never know. It's all about the chaff clear. Can the Mustangs clear the chaff enough and allow these Melters to lock on? The tower snipe on the right side! Dude, the punch fortress. He punched the tower. The Melter tracks on the left. And it looks like this is going to be a massive turnaround for Conclusion. Conclusion. Is he got lethal? He's got lethal. Dude, Conclusion. With the Melter Vulcan pivot off of the barrier punch forts, I would have felt in this scenario like I needed to just keep building fortresses. I would have been like, nah, I mean, I've already invested in them so much, I need to keep building them. But I think Melters, I mean, big single target, long range damage is the big thing that was missing. And it was the perfect timing to do it. What a turnaround. I thought the Abyss were kind of like the ultimate late game play, but perhaps they are not. even with the Vulcan, the Incendiaries, and everything. What a crazy, crazy game that was. And of course, the level 3 punch fort, guys, it does 45,000 damage in a 25-meter area effect. This is a big punch each time that guy detaches. These guys, 30,000 damage punches for the level 2s. The level 1's just 15,000 punches. But those are big guaranteed AoEs. And it's kind of funny. They almost act as like chaff clear and medium unit annihilators and decent damage for sniping towers or killing Vulcans. Punch Fort is actually just such a beautifully well-diversified ability. And shout out, guys, to the level 7 Mustangs with the range item. These guys had 1,080,922 damage. Absolute MVPs. 1 million damage Mustangs, dude. You do not see that every day. This one had 300,000. These guys 160,000. These guys 100,000. This fort has 268,000. Nothing even close. This fortress 280,000. No one else was even close. The closest was these melters that towards the end of the game did stack up. 400,000 on the right, 324,000 on the left. So these two melters cannot be underestimated. Even the middle one got 225,000 damage as well. But dude, those Mustangs for the win. Really well played by Conclusion, keeping his cool against the aerial spec mass Vulcan Abyss strategy from HorribleWill. GG, well played.